Good morning and welcome back to the Terrace. Make sure that like button has been smashed. Make sure you've shared. Make sure you're subscribing and that you're following us on our brand new Twitch account. The link for that is inside the description below. Lots of news in the past 24 hours or so fluctuating in relation to the Raphael Varane deal or potential move to Manchester United. We're going to give you the latest on that, which includes intensive talks being held between the representatives of Varane and Man United, a £50 million offer having been made to Real Madrid. Also, Torres is still in conversations with Man United, and we'll go into why a little bit later. Declan Rice is also on the agenda, with bids expected from both Man United and Chelsea this summer, with West Ham still setting an astronomical asking price of over £100 million for the England and West Ham central midfielder. We are going to take, of course, your questions, your thoughts, and your feelings on any other transfer stories that are circulating. We are indeed covering the Euro 2020 quarterfinals later on today as well. That is the big focus of the football world as they gear up. But how are we all this morning is my first point of call. Let's go into the live comment section to have our say. Neeks here says, Real Madrid have authorized Raphael Varane's agent to negotiate with Man United and a close to an agreement, and then pass it on to the Spanish club to discuss the terms of United. And do you know what, there, Nick? That is how majority of these deals happen, which is why a lot of the kind of old traditional media have really put themselves in the mud in recent times, because deals are just not negotiated anymore between the two clubs at the start. It's the final piece of the hurdle. That bit takes about 24 hours to get done. It's all done via agents. It's all done via intermediaries. And in relation to Raphael Varane, it's very, very clear what's been going on here. Manchester United, it's not new that United want Varane, but Man United for a number of weeks now have never been truly convinced that Varane wanted Manchester United. And this has been because once bitten, twice shy. Man United on a number of occasions have gone too far down the garden path with players that have expressed an interest in Man United, only to find out it's either been about money or it's been about trying to negotiate a better deal elsewhere. So there's been a lot of caution from the Manchester United hierarchy in terms of this deal. But it does now appear, and I had confirmation of this morning from Dean Jones, that Man United are going for it. Manchester United are still tentative, which is why they're still talking to the representatives of Torres as an example. They don't want to throw all their eggs into one basket, but Raphael Varane is the number one target. A bid, and this will be an unofficial bid that will go through the intermediaries, not directly into Real Madrid. That's just the process. That's just the way it is. A bid of around £50 million will be made, £40 million upfront as a set fee, with around £10 million in bonuses. So that will be Man United suggesting if we're winning Premier League titles, Champions Leagues, etc., you will receive an additional amount of money. So a bid up to the value of £50 million is going to be made for Raphael Varane in the coming weeks. What I was also told this morning and had confirmed to me is very much that Raphael Varane wants to get a decision made within the next week to 10 days regarding his future. Of course, pre-season is only just around the corner as well. The Premier League campaign kicks off in about 5 weeks' time. So there's going to be some time for the likes of Raphael Varane to take a holiday for 2 or 3 weeks and then get back into pre-season training so he's ready for the start of a new season. All reports about him wanting to join Man United are very, very strong as it stands right now. And as I've said, intensive talks were held between the club and the representatives of Raphael Varane. And there is now renewed belief in the Manchester United camp that Varane truly wants to join Old Trafford and is not just using us as a pawn, as a way of getting a better deal from Real Madrid, or of course securing a move to Paris Saint-Germain. It was confirmed yesterday, of course, that Sergio Ramos, of course, the previous partner of Varane at Real Madrid, will be joining PSG, and it is truly believed by the majority of Tier 1 journalists and people close to PSG that is it. No additional high-level, top-class centre-backs will be signed by Paris Saint-Germain this summer, giving Man United essentially a clear run at Raphael Varane this summer. Chelsea still have a mooted interest. Chelsea have been inquiring before, but it isn't a priority position for Chelsea. All their eggs are going to go into the striker positions and potentially into the Declan Rice pursuit, which we will move on to a little bit later. But I do want your thoughts and I do want your feelings on this. We're going to open up the lines for you to phone up and have your say on these matters this morning. I'm going to go to some of these comments first. Morning, Neil Driscoll. I hope you are well. Morning to Suts Nuts. He's changed his name again. Man like Josh is in the house. Sharik's here with us this morning. Hope you're good. Twisted Bubba. And I did put a little note today. I did put a story actually on the Football Terrace page. And I posted into the Legends and Super Chats. The Lederhosen have been ordered. When they arrive, I will sing the song as promised because you donated so well. Maria Williams especially donated so kindly to the Terrace and to charity. So I will be getting that done. Ollie wanted Sancho 2 seasons ago. Yes, he did, and we couldn't get the deal done. I'm not really overly shocked by that because Sancho would not have just become a target for someone like Ollie because he's had a good year at the Bundesliga. Ollie knows his football. Ollie watches football on the regs. He understands who. Sancho's been wanted by a huge amount of clubs for about 5 years because his talent is unprecedented. Look, we didn't have social media back in 2004-03 when Man United signed Ronaldo, but Ronaldo was being pursued and hunted by every club in Europe from the age of about 14. It's not a new thing. So it's not something that shocks me per se. Morning, Shane. I'm very, very well. Thank you. I truly, truly am. I remember if you want to comment on these streams now, they are subscriber only to try and stop spammers and haters and people in the comment section. And why would someone who doesn't like the Terrace be a subscriber? I don't know. So get yourself subscribed if you want to get your comments in. If you want to have your say, get that done now, please, people. Hang on a minute. It's Slen's in the house here. Someone here says, Slen's, stop this DM talk. If we get a CB, we don't need an out-and-out DM. I thought you meant DM talk like Slens was DMing you, and I didn't know what was going on here. I was like, oh, what have we uncovered this morning on the Terrace? I actually can't see Slens in the comment section. I haven't seen him yet, but I hope you're good, brother. I hope you're good. I think I just saw him then. I can't see him. Where's he at? Normally, it's highlighted green, right? Because Slens is the member. There's my brother. Assuming you do, you also secure a DM, what are your expectations for the season? My bro, great question. Great question indeed. And my personal, if we sign a good DM, say it is Declan Rice, it's a great segue onto that story. If we sign Declan Rice, and if we sign Varane with Sancho, and we don't lose Pogba, I have to throw that in there. If we don't lose Pogba, title challenge, we have to. We simply have to title challenge from that position. There can be no excuses. There can be no BS. Barring the whole squad being ravaged by injury. So that's just, as an example, there is no excuse for Man United from that point. We have to push City every single step of the way. And if we do not, it's because the manager isn't good enough. We then have our answer, but we have a great squad and we move on. We just basically find a manager that's going to continue the work started by Ollie, but just be better at getting performances out of the team. That's what I would expect. The DM thing, though, let me just say this as well. I still expect us to have a good season without a DM if we keep Paul Pogba. I'm not buying into this notion that it's suddenly the most important position for us, that we can't do anything without it. It simply ain't that for me. Sancho was the most important and has been for 3 or 4 years. I'm not going to suddenly change my tune to keep the negativity around my club. Would I like a DM? Yes. But am I happy to wait a year if we can't get Declan Rice, if we can't get somebody of that level or above this summer? Absolutely, every single day of the week. But thank you for that comment, my guy. Jaylings fam says, Terry, why do you think Sancho has been quiet about United? I don't know what you mean by quiet. You mean in terms of tweeting out or anything? Because officially right now, he's not a Man United player. It's still only legally an agreement in principle. He could file a medical. I don't know. So he isn't going to start talking about it until he's officially gone. Again, that'll be for PR purposes and to protect himself and to protect all parties involved. Legally, he's not a Manchester United player. So that can't and won't happen at this point. But he's been pushing for the move for a couple of years. And he's now at his dream destination. He's at Man United. And we have one hell of a player on our hands. Terry's always sliding into people's DMs. Do you know what's mad? I got in trouble at work once because I did not at work. I got in trouble with an old friend of mine for doing it, and at work really. It's when I didn't think DMing people was a bad thing. So I remember being on a night out of work, and I literally DM'd about 7 of my staff members whose phone numbers I didn't have on my phone to make sure they got home all right. And the next day, I got pulled into an office and said, "Oh, you can't be sliding in people's DMs." And This is when I realized I was getting old. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? They're friends with me on Facebook. How is sending someone a direct message wrong or an instant message wrong if they follow you? That for me is like if someone follows you and you follow them back on any kind of social media platform, that's your invitation to be able to direct message them. You're giving them that access. That's what I thought. Ever since then, it's like, all right, I'll tread carefully then, mate. They were like, no, someone said, I thought it was inappropriate. I said, how is message? I said, it's the same message to man and woman. Good night tonight. Hope you got home safely. Please let me know. Just to my staff. And ever since then, I was like, all right, I won't do it anymore then. I'll be rude. But yeah, there we go. Let's move on here. Because I want to talk about the Declan Rice situation. So there's a lot of news circulating about asking price. There's a lot of news talk circulating. Chelsea, where's he going to go? Let's have this right. Man United, Liverpool, and City have all made inquiries into Declan Rice. That's a fact. They've all checked as to whether or not he would be willing to leave London. The rumor has circulated for a long, long time that Declan Rice only would leave West Ham essentially to play for Chelsea. This is not true. However, it does not mean that Chelsea are not his preferred and number one destination. The problem for every single club right now looking at Declan Rice is the £100 million asking price that West Ham have slapped on him. That was revealed to us all by Dean Jones over 2 weeks ago. It's been confirmed this week by Matt Law as well. However, it is highly likely that Manchester United and it is highly likely that Chelsea will be submitting bids for Declan Rice later on in this window. The initial bid will be somewhere in the region of around 50 to 60 million pounds. They're always going to lowball on this because as much as Declan Rice is a quality DM, I don't think that the DM in the world worth 100 million pounds. None. Not one of them is worth 100 million pounds. So, of course, they're going to try and drive that price down. Then it's going to be about the reaction of Declan Rice. What is Declan Rice going to do? How is he going to respond? Will he start to push for a move? Will he hold back and go, actually, I'm going to have a year in Europe with West Ham and see how that goes. I'm going to give them respect. He's still only 22 years of age. He's not at Varane's age at 28. He's not at Harry Kane's age where the move is quintessentially essential for Harry Kane's point of view. If he doesn't move now, he may never get the move away. He may never be able to play for a top club who can win trophies in his prime. But Man United will be submitting a bid later on this summer for Declan Rice. That won't happen until after the Euros is over. The only reason the Varane deal is sped up is because they're out, and Sancho's a little different because a large proportion of the deal was done last year. There's no convincing of the player. Manchester United are going to have to do a lot of work to be able to convince Declan Rice to join them. They actually do have, though, an advantage over Chelsea. Having spoke to a few journalists about this deal yesterday, what's kind of been spoken about privately in the football scene is the fact that the midfield at Chelsea is looked at as superior to Manchester United's, barring, of course, Paul Pogba. You've got the best, I know not everyone likes him being called a CDM, but you've got one of the best midfielders in the world in N'Golo Kante, tipped for Ballon d'Or winner by many Chelsea fans. You've got Kovacic, who's highly rated as a ball carrier. You've got young Billy Gilmore that's on his way through, that most Chelsea fans want to see given an opportunity. Now, he is, of course, joining Norwich City on loan. That's going to happen, but he will return. So you're going to have N'Golo Kante, Billy Gilmore. Kovacic is very highly rated. And Jorginho, there's no real talk right now of him leaving. And Jorginho is one of the best midfield players in the world. I think he's every bit as good, although different, to Declan Rice. So the one thing that Man United have on their hands, which is in their favour, is they can offer Rice a starting berth. Declan Rice becomes the second best central midfielder at Manchester United the second that he joins. United are going to pull on that thread. It's already what they've kind of fed into the representatives of Rice. And as we already said a little bit earlier, Declan Rice is up for and will look at moving away from London if the deal, if the money is right. The secondary stumbling block for both Man United and Chelsea is the volume of money. The volume of money that is wanted by Declan Rice. It is believed that he wants over £250,000 per week. Now, that is a huge amount of money. It's a huge amount of money, again, for a DM. But him and his team are looking at himself as being one of the most sought-after footballing commodities out there, and he's absolutely right. He's an integral part in this England team that's doing so well. And if you're having two or three of the biggest clubs in the world chase you, you can demand whatever salary you want. So what remains to be seen again is this. Chelsea don't pay as much salary as Manchester United. The highest paid player at Chelsea is on £290,000 a week in N'Golo Kante. Are they prepared to make Declan Rice the second highest paid player at the club in front of all of their Champions League winners? That's another question that still remains to be seen. Where at Man United, they've already made a precedent of this by bringing in Jadon Sancho as one of the highest paid players at the club. Are they likely to do it again with Declan Rice to stop Chelsea from getting him? My belief is they would. So right now, there isn't any movement. It's probably going to be a very long and drawn-out saga over the course of the summer. But Man United and Chelsea will be putting bids in for Declan Rice this summer. Whether they're official into West Ham or whether they're via an intermediary, I don't care. Don't get dragged into that semantics on socials because it's all a load of old nonsense. It's all a load of old nonsense. Whether it goes into an intermediary or not, it's the same thing. If I'm in the school playground, that sounds weird at 35, but if you're in the school playground and you go up to it, I really like Emma, she's great. But I go up to Emma's friend and say, like we used to do this at school, Emma's friend's called Jessica. Jess, listen, if I ask Emma out, would she say yes? If she says, nah, tell, she just ain't interested. That is still a rejection, but not an official rejection because she didn't actually say the words no to me. But it amounts to the same thing. So let's not get caught up in the semantics anymore. It's boring. And let's talk facts. There's a super chat here that says, do you think he wants Chelsea or Mason Mount? That's a great question. Listen, he'd love to play for Chelsea again, Declan Rice. There is no shadow of a doubt in my mind that he would love to play for Chelsea again. There is no doubt. But these are professional football players. And if Man United offer him a better package, a better deal, more of a guarantee of a starting berth, if Man United show more genuine interest in signing him, these things are all game changers. They're absolute game changers in the market. There's no doubt about that. I still make Chelsea favourites personally, but United are trying to get that deal done. And sometimes with Man United, when they go neck and neck with other clubs, they can be persuaded to pay more money. And we've already seen Chelsea this summer already hold back from offering like nearly 100 grand a week less you offered Hakimi compared to PSG, 30 million euros less in transfer fee you offered. And a lot of that is because your primary target is Haaland. Now, if you decide not to go for Haaland, I think you get Declan Rice hands down. You'll put all your eggs into that basket because Haaland's £75 million cheaper the following summer. So you can spend some of that money on Rice. It's if you're still chasing Haaland and that's still the key desire of Roman, it may open up that door a little bit wider for Manchester United Football Club. Billy Gilmore to Norwich is done. Yes, I saw that earlier on today. I'm not too sure where I saw that, but I definitely saw that. It'd be good for Billy Gilmore. I think Billy Gilmore going on loan is important for him. He needs more game time, but he looks a star in the making. And that's also something Chelsea are going to have to consider. They are looking beyond the end of N'Golo Kante because he's getting older, but they've got Jorginho. And they've got Billy Gilmore coming through. That will be a consideration for them. That really will be a consideration. Imagine dropping £80 million on Declan Rice only for Billy Gilmore to feel pushed out, and in 2 years' time he's better. Like, you just need to be mindful of that. Man United don't have that problem. I don't think we don't have anybody that's going to be right now is on the edge of the first team or in the first team that's going to be better than Declan Rice, barring, of course, the wonderful, the majestic, the world-class Paul Pogba. I'm going to share the link now in the live comment section. If you want to have your say, please do. Make sure that like button is being smashed this morning as well. It's very important to the Football Terrace that you get that done. Annie here says, Amad Diallo could go out on loan. Some clubs have inquired about the situation, but it is yet to be decided. Yeah, I've heard about this. And for me, I would be really, really shocked if they sent him out on loan in the first half of the season. I think what they should do, just my fan opinion here, see how he looks in pre-season, see how he compares to the Martials, the Rashfords, and the Sanchos in the first instance. I think another part of the decision as to whether or not to let him go is based on Anthony Martial. If Martial is sold or loaned out, if Lingard is sold or loaned out, I cannot see us putting Amad out. Because if those two players are gone, Amad's going to get game time. We'll see even less this season of Juan Mata than we did last year. So there's a big chance. Elanga's probably going to go out on loan. So I think Diallo's situation is, one, how does he look and how does he do in pre-season? But secondly, and probably more importantly, is the futures of Anthony Martial. Man United are actively trying to sell Anthony Martial as it stands right now. And of course, the future of Jesse Lingard. I will say this on Jesse Lingard as well. I will say this about Jesse Lingard as well. Let's talk about a new deal, and people are going, "Oh, why are we giving him a new deal?" He's only going to get a new deal if we can't get rid of him this summer, to protect his valuation, to protect the asset, to protect the commodity. It isn't about building a future around him at Man United. So often you'll see clubs we gave Ashley Young a new deal and sold him 6 months into it. And a lot of these new deals you see for fringe players and squad players at Man United, there's little to no pay rise. So there's no risk. We're paying them anyway. We're just extending the contract so they maintain their value. So when a club does come in for them, you recoup. But you still need that body in the club, because if you just let Lingard go on a free, I mean, somebody else picks him up slightly cheaper, but we don't, or they spend the money. Lingard gets all that money in his pocket rather than the club. And even though we know some of the money we generate as a club doesn't go where we want it to, we still want that income to come into the club, right? So people need to just kind of use their brains a little bit more when it comes to thinking about transfers and listen to the football financial experts, as opposed to listening to a desk writer from The Sun or Claw or Callum from Cheshunt, who thinks he understands how it works, but of course he doesn't. Terry, my girl's called Emma, hands off, or we're gonna have to go down and alley and do it like men. All right, bro, listen, bro. I was gonna say something. I'm not gonna say it. I'll leave it there. Lone Trixie, another one of our wonderful members, says Chelsea gave Giroud a new deal this year, and we are selling him this year. Exactly. But if you don't sell it, say Werner ruptures his cruciate ligament in training, you can't land Haaland, and Tammy's deal's already gone through, you can then just keep Giroud and you've got it secured. It's called a contingency plan. And it's just mad how people don't understand this. It's mad. We're going to start going to some calls now for you guys to come on and have your say. Let's have a little look here at what's being said. Rodri is awful, is what Daniel Wilkinson said. That's an interesting take. I'm sure that's amongst yourselves here. Dortmund can get any player they want if they sell Haaland. They can't, though. Do you know why they can't get any player they want? Because that football club has no ambition to win anything. I saw ESPN FC yesterday, right? Praise them for how cheaply they buy players and how much they sell them for. And they literally said, that's how a good club is run. Yeah, if you're a feeder club, that's how a good feeder club is run. That isn't how a club that wants to win leagues and Champions Leagues operates. Now, they may not have the size or the capacity to do that, and I understand it. But I keep getting people tell me that Man United should be run like Dortmund. No. Dortmund is run perfectly for a club Dortmund's size in the contemporary world of football. If Spurs are run like that, brilliant. If Leicester were run like that, I could even understand it. But I even look at the likes of Leicester. They don't want to do that. Leicester would be desperate to keep their stars. Leicester don't want to sell their stars. I feel like Dortmund do. I feel like they've just become a development. They're basically the German development center for Europe. They're getting all this talent, they develop it and sell it at a profit. They're not. Do you understand me? They're a great way to run a club of their size, but people keep making it sound like that's how the big boys should operate. Why? Why do I want to sign the best striker in the world at 18 just to sell him for loads of money at 21? When was the last time they won a league? When was the last time they won a Champions League? By the way, they've played better football than my club for the last 8 years, granted. But playing good football ain't the ceiling. Mad. I find it crazy. Makes me rant. Let's go to some of your calls here. First up on the show, we're going to go to CFC Chats this morning. Welcome back to the terrace, mate. What do you want to say?
Good evening. I think Ramos, PSG. I think people really gotta take into consideration that how good PSG are going to be next season. Like the signings of Donnarumma, Ramos, Wijnaldum, and the signings are keeping coming, and we've barely started this transfer window. And I think just this signing here is going to make PSG win the Champions League next season, because this team I'm looking at now is unbelievable. But I came to ask as well, as a United fan, Terry, I want to ask this question: Matic and Mata, what happens with them? I want to ask you this because I've asked a lot of Man United fans with these. What do you think of Mata and Matic? Continue or get rid of?
You get rid of if adequate replacements have been purchased. So there's no point removing Matic until we sign a midfielder, because otherwise you just make your midfield even weaker. So it becomes you keep them until something better comes along, essentially.
Because you got like Van de Beek, would you put him in for, obviously it's so much controversy, but, would you put him in for Matic and Mata?
Who? No, but Donny,
De
sorry,
Beek.
Donny van de Beek's already here. So, but that's my
Exactly,
point.
yeah.
If you got rid of Mata and Matic and we didn't sign anybody else, we're weaker. If Rice comes in and then Matic leaves, it's fine. There needs to be an adequate replacement. If you turn around and said, right, we're signing Canavenga and Declan Rice, but it means Mata's going into because Mata looks like he's going to take up a kind of coaching directorship role with Man United at some point. So if he went and did that straight away and Mata left and Matic left, nobody would care. If they both left and we didn't sign any replacements, there's huge holes in the team. So for me, it's a little bit chicken and egg. And I want replacements before we get rid of people in those like experienced players in those positions. I think that's key. And you sign first, sell after. That needs to be the mantra of this club. I'd rather have a bloated squad and loan people out than a thin squad where a couple of injuries and we're in absolute trouble. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. Good point.
There we go. Listen, bro, thanks very much for calling in and having your say this morning. Really appreciate that, Mike. Right, thank you very much. Matthew, next up, Liverpool fan here, Mohammed in the house. Make sure that like button's been hit this morning. A few people saying, Terry, but Dortmund have won more trophies than you. In how, do you know what they have? But you're not listening to what I'm saying here. It's ceilings. I am disgusted at how Man United have been run in the past 8 years. But it doesn't mean I want to be run like Dortmund, with Dortmund's expectations, with Dortmund's ceiling. Just because it's better than how my club has been run doesn't mean that's what I want. You understand? It's like, it's still not what I want. It's better than I've got, but it's still not what I want. So I would fight for what I want. Man United, the club our size, it should be whatever the process is now. The end result has to be winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, and selling your best players for profits all the time. That isn't going to do that. It ain't going to do it. So listen, you can say what you want, but I would never want Dortmund's model at Manchester United, because that is it's limiting, and I don't want it to be limiting. Mohammed's with us now. What are you saying, Mohammed?
Hello, Terry. How are you?
I'm very, very well. What's your thoughts on the Raphael Varane situation?
I think that's going to be if Man United do somehow secure him, that will put you as a strong title contender. Considering what's been going on at the moment, and if they get Rice as well, I think that will help you even more for the title race as well. Because I just really think that getting those two important players for your team will strongly, I think they'll, don't know how to explain this, but they'll just see how Ollie will be as a manager, and if he delivers on these signings, United should give him a new contract. But if he fails on these objectives, you might as well get rid of him and get someone better in.
I totally agree with you on that, my friend. I totally agree with you 100% on that. Mohammed, thank you for your call and all your support, buddy. It means a great deal to me. Next on the show, Man United fan Josh is here all the way from Australia. I want to ask you this, Josh. Ollie, if he's got Sancho, if he gets Raphael Varane, there can be no more excuses for Ollie. Is that right?
That's a difficult one to answer, because getting new players of a high caliber, they still need a bedding in time. I mean, no matter how world class someone is, they still need time to gel with their teammates, get some time to figure out combinations, figure out what his role in the defensive line is going to be. But I still think, at the minimum, we should expect a trophy. It doesn't matter what it is, League Cup, FA Cup. I still think we can push Man City right to the end. I mean, we get Varane, I expect a trophy. Doesn't matter what one it is, just any trophy. That caliber of player, doubled with Sancho, I would even be happy without a DM coming in. I mean, this 2 years on the bounce, we've improved with predominantly Fred and McTominay in midfield. So there's a good solid base there to work from. And who says we'll need a DM when we've got such a high caliber of centre back there? Because I mean, you've got your right back and your left back tucking close to your centre backs, and then they come out to meet the wingers. Fred and McTominay sit right back in front of them to stop them breaking down the play. So, I mean, I think Varane will encourage more attacking play, which no doubt Sancho will give us more options, more goals, more chances of winning. So, I think provided we aren't out of a hunt by, say, Christmas, I still think Ole should be given the season to see how the squad finishes up. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, I totally agree. I think that there are elements there I agree with. Sorry, in terms of betting in time, but I think that with these two signings, if they come in, he needs to push on, and the team needs to there needs to be that marked improvement, an extra 10, 15 points in the league. I would expect with these kind of signings. Josh, thank you for your call, mate. I really appreciate it, buddy. Top man. Thank you. Breaking news that has actually happened in the last half an hour since we've been live is Juan Mata has signed a new deal at Man United, a 1-year contract extension. Kind of reading, it's interesting reading a lot of the responses on socials. We've got Danny Devil in the details. It says it's pretty obvious Ole wants Mata around for reasons other than playing. He's taking another pay cut, which kind of makes me okay with the extension. Mata is will be a United coach or technical director one day, mark my words. And I think that's also very, very, that needs to be focused on as well. Mark Goldbridge has said that Mata staying at the club, love the player, but this is ridiculous. Starting 6 games last season on 140k a week, and we've got talent coming through. I understand the frustration at it, but I agree more with Daniel. I think that he's taken a pay cut, which frees up money. I don't think he's going to be in the way of any young player that's good enough from developing. I think he's more involved with coaching. He may play a role if needed elsewhere. I think even by the end of the season, you may see him halfway through the season, you may see his contract change again and mold and move more into a kind of coaching or technical director element. Yes, would I've liked to seen it maybe at 60, 70, 80 grand a week, potentially. But I think there's at least a 60 grand a week decrease in salary. So we're saving a bit of money there. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. He can probably still be effective in a number of games next season, and be beneficial for us. But it is one of those things there. I'm not going to panic about it. I'm not going to cry about it. There's a longer term plan with Juan Mata, and having read a lot of his blogs in the past and listened to him speak, he's a very intelligent man in there. And we've said it before, he understands football. This guy has won pretty much everything in the game, both domestically and internationally. I get a feeling he's going to be very important to Man United in the coming years. There's no doubt about that as more than a player. So we'll watch this space on that one. A few people saying that Mad is going on loan. We will see what happens with him, Mad. A lot of people screaming that in. Next on the show to have his say this morning, it's going to be ACFC with us here this morning, a.k.a. Adrian. How you doing, Adrian?
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. What are you here to say this morning?
Yeah, I just wanted to praise Manchester United's transfer business. It's been really sensational, really. You look at it, Varane, perhaps Declan Rice, Jadon Sancho. You're looking at potentially a Premier League and a Champions winning side. That's very high quality players right there. The real question is now with players like Jadon Sancho, is how is he going to link up with Aaron Wan-Bissaka? Because at Dortmund, is it Terzic? I think that's his name. He switched Sancho from the right wing to the left wing because their fullback just wasn't linking well with Sancho, and that's what Sancho really needs. So it'll be really interesting to see how he works with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And then Raphael Varane, wow, that's just a brilliant player. The only worry I might have is he can sometimes be very, very soft and not be very aggressive. And I don't know how aggressive Harry Maguire would be as well. And we saw that in the Euros game with Switzerland and France, where someone gets very aggressive, very street smart player, and he sometimes becomes a bit suspect. And it'll be very interesting for Varane as well, because he's always had that, that stigma that he needs Ramos to hold his hand. So maybe this will be his chance to prove himself. But yeah, as a Chelsea fan, I can't lie, but I have to admire this window. Hopefully we get Haaland or something. But yeah, it's just really interesting.
Yeah, I actually think one of the things motivating Raphael Varane is, I want to say this in the right way. I think one of the things that's really motivating Raphael Varane is this notion that he needs somebody to hold his hand, that he needs somebody to lead him. that he's kind of been this kind of notion that he's been protected his whole career as opposed to being one of the leading lights. Man United is an interesting one because what's been said about Maguire is Maguire needs somebody next to him who is an orchestrator, who is a leader to get the best out of him. Now, I don't necessarily agree with everything negative that's been said about. I think what Maguire needs more than leadership around him is somebody with a bit of speed. However, if Varane comes in and Man United defense transforms and it's formidable, all the answers come in. Maguire has now got the partner he needs to get the very, very best out of him. And Raphael Varane shuts up people like Jem that have been calling him a pace merchant, if that makes sense. In relation to the between AWB and Sancho, I'm fairly relaxed with it. Listen, AWB sometimes looks very unorthodox in his shape and how he moves and everything else. But I actually think what's been very detrimental to AWB is that generally who he's partnered with on that right-hand side is a goal scorer or an average footballer. So it's either Dan James, an average footballer, or it's a goal scorer whose first instinct is to get into that box and shoot. How many times do we see Rashford and Greenwood cut inside and want to shoot rather than square the ball? And I think that kind of the creative element is then left to AWB, and it's not his strongest suit. He's okay at it. He's okay at the elite level, but he isn't elite. So I think having someone who's a creator from that side, I think it could work really, really well. They're of similar age. I'm sure they know each other from sort of the football scene anyway. So I'm intrigued to see how it works. The great thing about Sancho, though, as you mentioned, is this. If Ahmad has a great season and progresses, if Greenwood develops on that right-hand side and actually becomes a bit more balanced in terms of attack and creativity, Sancho can be just as impactful on the left-hand side and can equally play in that 10 role if he needs to. So we haven't just bought one of the best right-hand-sided attackers in world football. We have a player that's very, very versatile and very, very and can adapt to different kind of positions. So I'm very excited about that deal. And the Varane one, I'm not going to count my chickens too soon because at the end of the day, you never quite know how if a deal is going to go through, how it's going to work out. But the signs right now are very, very encouraging.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to ask you about Chelsea, though. You know, Chelsea are looking at the Declan Rice situation. What do you think they should do there? Should they throw their eggs into the Haaland basket, or do you think Declan Rice is a more important signing?
Oh, it's a difficult one. For me, the biggest priority that Chelsea need to secure this window is a out-and-out goal scorer. Because I think if you look at it last season, Thomas Tuchel's Chelsea got the most points in the Premier League, barring Man City. And our highest goal scorer was Jorginho. So we do need that consistent goal scorer. Every time I'm watching a Chelsea game, it's sometimes extremely frustrating because you see the ball just fizz through the 6-yard box and no one's there to really tap it in or just get it into the back of the net. A DM would definitely be useful, particularly a physically imposing DM, because I don't think we have that type of player in our ranks right now. We've got Jorginho, who's very good at dictating the play. We've got Kovacic, who's very box-to-box, and Kante, who is a bit of both. He likes to break the lines, but also plays that box-to-box role. But we don't have that player who has the physicality and who's really a sitter. So maybe a Declan Rice is that option. I guess the one thing I can look at is Billy Gilmore's gone on loan. So maybe we're bringing in a midfielder. But there's also talks of Ruben Loftus-Cheek getting some time under Thomas Tuchel in pre-season. So we'll see how that goes. And there's also talks about Petr Cech trying to go for this Monaco player called Aurelien Tchouameni. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Right now, I'd say Erling Haaland would be the priority, though, or just a goal scorer, because we really need goals over everything else.
No, I totally agree with you on that. I think the goals are key. Your midfield is stacked as far as I'm concerned. And that's one of the reasons why, as a Man United fan, United, it's funny, actually. I saw a report yesterday that spoke about United not even having the money right now for the Raphael Varane situation. And it's not strictly true. But the overall financial situation at Man United is we need to now sell before we can buy anybody that would cost above 30 to 40 million pounds. So that's why the Pogba telling us what he's doing is going to be key. Martial and Lingard, are they staying? Are they going? We need to remove those players before we're able to buy anybody else. That's just cold, hard facts of that matter. But the Declan Rice situation, the door's open to a club like Man United because Chelsea are so strong in that area. And Roman is so desperate to bring somebody in that striker position. And I think if you do drop 130, 140 on Haaland, plus the level of money that he's going to cost in terms of salary, I don't personally see you landing Rice, especially if Man United are prepared to pay big money for him. If Man United say, like, we are prepared to spend £70 million, I think that would be enough to make Chelsea step back and move away. But there's a fail-safe, as you say. You've got Kante, Jorginho, Kovacic, and Billy Gilmour is going to get a year of experience on loan. So I just don't think it's an area where you're in desperate need of a Declan Rice. So why would you break records and make him your second or third highest paid player at the football club?
Yeah, 100%. I also think
I just don't see that happening right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was just looking at it, and I was reading some reports that one of the big things in the stumbling block for this Erling Haaland deal is that we want to maintain good relations with Borussia Dortmund, because we actually have a long-term target in Jude Bellingham. We've been scouting him for years. So I think what's going to happen is this deal is going to take a long time, because not only are we going to have to try and get Erling Haaland, we're trying to maintain a good relationship so we can get Jude Bellingham in the future. So it's going to be an interesting saga. I don't know how, if we do land him, I'll be gassed. But it's just, I think with Chelsea, you've just got to be patient, man. Because look at Jadon Sancho. It took you almost like a year and a bit to try and sign him. So who knows how long it will take to sign Erling Haaland. But yeah, hopefully it will go good.
Yeah,
also,
and I think you're right about that. Sorry, in terms of maintaining relationships, it's that thing of this is why a lot of dealings are done via intermediaries. Because if the intermediary says, "Listen, this is going to piss them off," as opposed to they'd really like this, you may not put the official bid in, because, as you say, you don't want to burn relationships. You don't want to mess things up, because later on down the line that could scarper other deals. But listen, buddy, I really appreciate you coming on and having your say. Top man. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Remember to get your super chats in, ladies and gentlemen. Any questions that you have for us? A few people are asking about the Goretzka situation. There isn't a Goretzka situation. Man United and a number of other clubs are, of course, interested in one of the best midfielders in Europe. Unless he decides to not sign a new deal at Bayern Munich, or he's not interested in playing for Bayern Munich, nothing's happening. Bayern won't allow a player they want to keep to leave ever in his prime, unless the player says no. If he refuses a new deal and says, I don't want to stay here, then we start to focus on Goretzka. But that's also another reason why clubs are just holding back, maybe from Rice's, maybe from other players, because you don't want to burst out the traps too quickly. And then Goretzka becomes available, and you think to yourselves, that was a better option. Not that he plays the same role as a Declan Rice, but there we go. Terry, read my super chat, please. I must have missed your super chat. Sorry, apologies if I did. Let me see if I can find it. Why didn't I see it twisted? Sometimes I'm so engrossed in talking to people, I don't see the super chats on my screen. Doesn't appear to be on my screen, mate. Let me see if I can go back and find it. I found it here. It says, Terry, why are you devaluing the position of DM? I'm not devaluing it at all. I think it's a very important position. I just don't think anybody in a DM role right now is worth £100 million. I just don't. I just don't. Simple as that for me. I think Declan Rice, 60, 70 mil. Top bat. Top bat is what I'd say. So is there any proof of Haaland's release clause? I mean, lots of incredible people have reported on what it is. Have they seen the actual contract? I don't know. Don't think so. Don't think so. I have some friends who are City fans, glad nothing like Blue Moon and Raheem Sterling. Sorry, I have some fans who are City fans, glad nothing like Blue Moon and Raheem Sterling. Never talk shit to me. Yeah, Neil is lashing out here. What's happening? What's happening? What's been said, Neil Bagil? I'm intrigued to know. Let's go through some more of these comments that are coming through here. What about Locatelli? Locatelli's the same situation for me as Goretzka. He'll stay in Italy if one of the big Italian boys come in for him. I cannot see him picking an English club, least of all Arsenal, over Juve. I just can't see. Why would you? And that's not an attack at Arsenal. It's like if Declan Rice has a chance to play for Man United, Man City, or Chelsea, or go and play for Juve, I think he's picking an English club. I really do. I really do. Terry, you would not pay 70 million for Rice. Listen, what my club would pay for him and what I think he's worth are two very different things. One's my opinion as opposed to how the club value an individual there. Terry, what's happened with the Saul Niguez situation? Nothing's really changed in that as far as I can tell. There's been no pursuit from anybody. No further talks have been held. But that's quite normal. Things don't normally happen in spurts. It'll be clubs talk to him, they test the ground, they see what's going on, and they go look elsewhere, and maybe they come back to him later on down the line. That's why transfer stories fluctuate from player to player, because that's how clubs kind of operate in that market. Kante is worth 100 million. Probably not at his age now. He's probably not. What is he now? 30? Is he 30 years old now, Kante? I don't even know. His age, I wouldn't say in his position he's worth that much. What is he? He's 20. Actually, no, he's not. How old is he? Yeah, he's 30. He's 30, going to be 31 next season. So based on his age, he's not worth 100 million pound. In his pomp, yes. But he ain't, like, in his pomp at 26, yes. Now, no. Because valuation isn't just driven by, you've got to remember, the valuation of a player is not just driven by the, what's the word I'm looking for here? It isn't just driven by how good they are on the football pitch. It's commerciality. It's sell-on value, sporting potential of that club, commercial potential of that club, contract length remaining. All of these things factor into the valuation of a player, and football fans have got to get out of their head, well, player A is better than player B, therefore he should be worth more money. It never has. Well, it hasn't for the last 20 years worked like that, and it's moving even further away from it. So just get that out of your heads. Like, it's one of those things, don't dwell on it, because it just isn't how it works. So forget it. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. It's like we all know that Towie is fake. It's like we all know that Love Island is fake. We know WWE wrestling isn't real. They don't really hate each other. It's acting, right? We know EastEnders isn't real. We know the X Factor isn't real. We know Britain's Got Talent isn't real. We know all these things are either soaps or they're reality shows that are scripted and put together. So we know that, right? So equally, the way player valuations are often displayed in the bog standard media isn't how the valuation of players is made up. It's a fugazi. It isn't real. There's so many factors that go into it. You can have player A could be 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 100% better than player B. They may be valued the same in the market based on multiple factors. Simple as that. That's why there's English tax, because homegrown players is something that squads need, right? So if you sign a star England player, it helps with a homegrown quota. So what the clubs that are selling do, what the vendors do, they add a premium for that because it's something you need. Have you noticed that most things in this world that we need to buy are quite like razor blades? How expensive are razor blades? But men need them. They need them. You can't not shave, or at least trim. Most people can't. £17 for free. Rah! Big up, Terry. I can't see Rice coming to United. I think he's heading to Chelsea. I make Chelsea favourites as well. There's no doubt about it. Would he play for Man United? That's the question. And the answer is yes, he would. Rice is just not available this summer. Rice is 100% available this summer, but the asking price is far too high. So what clubs will do is they will send in low ball in offers. One, to see Rice's reaction. Two, to see whether they get any traction at all. If they get any traction, they'll start to slowly increase. If Rice starts to push for a move away, that helps their negotiation space. But if Rice says, I'm not handing in a transfer request, I'm very happy to stay here for another year, and West Ham don't yield on 100 million, then he isn't available. But until that point, until they know that, it's on. That's the way these things work. Terry, any Kingsley Coman updates? Nothing. Absolutely nothing at all in that space right now, as far as I am aware. Make sure that like button is still being smashed, people. Let's hit that right now. Let's get this past 500 likes while we're live on the air, please. Yeah, the razors are cheap. It's the razors that cost a bomb. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, razor blades are expensive. It's true. But it is what it is. I'm sure there's other things we can think of that are essential that are just really, they're just more, they're more expensive than they should be. Do you know what I mean? Have you noticed how healthy food is more expensive than crap food? Like, you can get 2-piece chicken and chips for like $1.99 in East London. If you want to go and get like a really nice, healthy avocado and chicken salad, it's like £9. Essential things are expensive. The football terrace is crushing dreams. WWE is real. Real stunts and real bad acting. Listen, I like, do you know what it is with WWE? I respect the athletes. I respect what they put themselves through. I respect the stunts. I even respect the storylines because they're fun, right? Occasionally it's on in my house and I'm like, I kind of watch it for a bit. I love seeing the stunts. But it's the people that buy into the story. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like me ringing my mate up. Bro, Phil Mitchell and Kat Mooner together. Can you believe it? I watch EastEnders and then I stop watching EastEnders. It's like, I see people talk about wrestling. I love how it's a thing, though. I love how it's a thing. I love how it's a thing. I love it. And I also know that the majority of viewers of wrestling know that it isn't real. They're just along for the ride. Those WWE fans, I got time for. They know it is what it is. It is what it is. It's the ones that believe it's real. Those are the ones that I find mad. So you believe it's real? Yeah, bruv. You believe in the Tooth Fairy and Santa as well? Yeah, bruv. They're the ones. I just find it crazy. It's definitely real. Oh, they actually do slap each other and stuff. I'm like, I know they do. But there we go. Oh, mad. Oh, sorry, got a big stretch on. Big stretch on. Wrestling fan. And you should be proud to be a wrestling fan. I'm not saying you shouldn't be a wrestling fan. I'm not saying you shouldn't watch EastEnders. I'm not saying you shouldn't watch Towie. I'm not saying you shouldn't watch Love Island. Just believing these things are like real life. I remember when I swear Stone Cold Steve Austin was killed and they had a funeral for him, right? I'm telling you, people I knew that were at the time were adults were like, he's dead. But no, he's not though. It's fake. He's dead. I saw the funeral. What? So I saw his funeral, they said. Raw. Attitude was a serious era. Like, I used to watch wrestling and I still do consume it. You're missing my point here. WWF was real. WWF was real. I hear you. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny. Let's have a little look through here. What's being said. They get injured more than... Listen, that's why I said already, Daniel, the stunt level is at... Well, my favorite when I grew up for stunt, I thought the best guy for it was like the Hardy brothers. Their stuff was crazy. I got so much respect for it. I'm not... Anything the wrestlers do, I got respect for. Like, I watched the whole podcast on Joe Rogan because The Undertaker was on. I was so intrigued by his stories because I respect it. Same as I respect the actors on Towie. Women's products, ridiculous how much. Yeah, women's products are expensive. I didn't want to mention that, but it's true. It's a madness. I still actually send a box a month. So I went to the Cape Verde Islands back in 2013, and I couldn't believe some of the stories I heard, how badly... I kind of felt awkward when I was on holiday there. I didn't discover it, how badly paid the locals are, and like how they can't afford sunblock, and because it's quite a windy place, like they get really bad sunburn, like paracetamol over there. Like, it's like 40p for a pack here. It's like half a day's wages for a pack over there. And obviously like women's sanitation. So I kind of put a box together. I actually lie. It's not every month. I do it every other month. I put like a box together. I go to Tesco's or Morrison's and I buy all the stuff and I just send it to a place that they gave me an address where you have to put loads of paracetamol in it, lady stuff, sunblock and stuff like that, and send it off. Because this made me a bit sad that there's these beautiful holiday resorts that everybody's paying all this money to go to, and then the people that work there are not on. My view is this, right? Yes, it's not in Europe, but my view is 90% of its clientele are European based. They're paying European prices, so pay the staff their European salary. That's my view on it. But obviously, you can't control what they do. So I try to do my bit. As best I can. It's the first people I've ever told that. Been doing it for 8 years. I never really tell anyone, but it just seemed relevant to the conversation. Everyone used to love wrestling. Yeah. If you smell... The Rock, man. I used to love that guy. I used to love the way he used to speak to people. What is it? I remember he said to Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H once. He said something like, I'm gonna turn it sideways and shove it right up your candy ass. Yeah, I love that shit. That was when it was good. It was fun. I just got old. Yeah, the Hardy Brothers were madness. I just got old. I'm an all right man. I wouldn't say I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? Listen, everyone who's tuned into the Terrace this morning, thank you to all our new subscribers. Thank you. We're closing in on 197,000 subs. What's really important after subscribing is hitting that like button. It really, really is. And turning on the bell notification as well. We're back live after the quarterfinals today, unless there's some breaking news before it, of course. But until then, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again